Groundandpound-TV, Mark Bergmann vor Ort in Manchester zur Fight Week von UFC Fight Night Nummer 30 und bei mir nun ein Mann, den ich sicherlich kaum noch vorstellen muss, der beste Entertainer im Geschäft. Das ist Chael Sonnen, der uns jetzt sicher ein paar Fragen beantworten muss. Ein Mann, der sehr, sehr viel vor sich hat im Moment, einige Kämpfe und die Ultimate Fighter in Brasilien. Chael, I just introduced you to your viewers as a man with a lot on the table right now. That's the Ultimate Fighter situation with Wanderlei Silva to coach the third season of the Ultimate Fighter in Brazil. This has been a big buzz in the last couple of days. And also, this has been announced in the UFC Tonight show without you knowing that it will be announced. How can this possibly happen? How can Dana White announce this on your show without you knowing?
Well,
without it being confirmed. Sorry.
I'm very grateful for all the opportunities of the UFC, and the last thing I want to do is ever sound ungrateful. But I was surprised that we didn't discuss it first. Yes. I always say yes to the UFC, and that's important to me. I put the UFC first in front of my own career. I know what it's like to be an employee. I know what it's like to own a business and have employees. And it's very important, loyalty, and to put the company first. So he knew he could count on me. I was very flattered by that. At the same time, what he's asking me to do is it requires a little bit of conversation. But if he has never misguided me before. I've walked the roads with him many times, and if this is a path that he believes we can go down successfully, that's enough for me.
But to get this straight, you have talked about this before, but there was nothing confirmed. You have signed nothing. You could have said no on this show, and the UFC would have a problem, right?
Well, I mean, yes. The answer to your question is yes. This is a volunteer army. We don't have to be here. And as far as a contract goes, I coached the last Ultimate Fighter. I don't believe there was a contract for that either. But when you're operating business smallly like I do, fight a couple times a year, 3 times if I'm lucky, having contracts and getting all your ducks in a row is easy. When you conduct a multi-billion-dollar business across the globe, you got to be able to operate on a handshake, and you have to be able to operate on a guy's word. So, again, I've been down the road with these guys, and when they give me their word, it's better than a contract. And the same thing goes with me. If I tell them I'll be there, I will be there.
Now, you will go on to Brazil to coach the Ultimate Fighter there. Brazil has the image of being a dangerous country and whatnot, and, you haven't exactly had the best relationship to that country because of some comments you made in the past. Now everyone's talking about your safety in that country. Dana already stated there will be security staff looking after you. Is it really of concern to you? Is this something that you have in the back of your mind, or don't you care at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's very real. The last time I was there, we had tremendous security, and we also had some tremendous issues. We even had a security breach, and there's not a lot that I'm going to live my life, and I'm not going to live it in fear. And I'm not exactly the easiest guy to approach in a negative manner. That's not going to work out very well for most people. So again, they've got the right to live their life the way they want. But it's like I always say, send anyone you want, but don't send anybody you want back.
Now, let's put the security question aside. There are also some other problems with this next season of The Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, it has to be shown in the U.S. too, because you're one of the biggest stars of the U.S. fighting scene. But how can they do it? Will they subtitle it? Will they, put an interpreter into the show? What's the plan there? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I do. It's not going to be in the U.S. Now, as much as I tell you that could change And then that could have changed already and just hasn't got to me. I think it makes sense to be in the U.S. as well. There is some subtitle issues. And, you know, when you're dealing with television, it all comes down to rating. We need people to watch. We're not going to put out a product that doesn't work in this market. And I don't know how that would work. The plan right now is that it will not be shown in the U.S. There was talk, and it was done by Wanderlei, of making it a nation versus nation deal, a U.S. versus Brazil. If that happens, I don't know what side Wanderlei would coach on. I'm not sure who he's aligning himself with. I assumed the Brazilians, but a number of media have pointed out the fact that he hasn't trained a Brazilian or lived in Brazil in a number of years. He's only trained American and lives in America. So, you know, he's going to have to pick. The hypocrisy of his statement is so transparent, and he's attempting to wrap himself in both flags, and you know, that just isn't something that's going to work. But I believe the plan, I know the plan is it's an all Brazil show that will be aired exclusively in South America.
Okay, so the backbone of this whole show obviously will be your feud with Wanderlei Silva. This is for sure. There have been two now infamous altercations between the two of you that have been caught on tape. The first one, you have been real quiet. You stated afterwards that you didn't understand what he was saying. The second altercation wasn't too quiet. It almost escalated into a fist fight. After that, he has sent out a message, a really angry one, really a bit of crazy one. What were you thinking? Have you seen that message? And what were you thinking? Were you scared, or did you think it was funny, scary, crazy, whatever?
Well, hey, Jake. Well, in the first one, yeah, I mean, nobody understood what he said. He had a subtitle. I mean, nobody could understand it. But please understand, even if I did understand him, I'm a civil guy. If he wants to say his piece, whether I like it or not, I'm going to listen. If Wanderlei came in here right now and asked me to come outside and he wanted to speak with me privately, I would go. And if I didn't like what he had to say, I would still listen, and I would thank him for sharing his opinion. I would leave. The second time he came was in a public atmosphere, and that's totally different. I have an ego too, and you know, if you're going to attack me in public, you know, I have to defend my reputation too. And so, you know, that's a little bit of what you saw. And I tried to watch his videos. I feel like I've seen them because I know about them, I've read about them, and I've seen some excerpts we showed a little bit on UFC Tonight. But I didn't watch the whole thing. Again, I had to read it. It would be in subtitles, and I thought it was rather fun. Excuse me. I thought it was fun. He was dancing. He had like some cool lighting going. And you know, I support him having his fun. You know, it's a tough career, so good for him.
Okay, then Chael, to finish this off, we haven't exactly heard you giving a message back to Wanderlei directly, so maybe you can use this opportunity to do that.
Well, you know, I think that I have given a message to Wanderlei. I've tried to fight Wanderlei for a number of years, and I've never called out anybody that wasn't a world champion. Wanderlei is the one and only guy that I've gone after, you know, that doesn't have that belt. And I've been very candid. I want to fight Wanderlei because he's an easy fight. I want to fight Wanderlei because he has the worst record in the history of the UFC. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what about Crow Cop? That's true. Crow Cop was terrible, but Wanderlei's record is even worse. I want to fight Wanderlei because it's a night off and it's easy money. And there's no message there. I just want to make sure that I'm clean about that. You know, I see fighters that fight with a bum, and then they try to tell the world what a hard fight it's going to be. This isn't going to be a hard fight. I'm fighting a bum. That's just the way it is.
All right. Chael, thank you very much for taking the time. As always, very entertaining, and wish you the best of luck.